With this preparation, now let's start coding and using macros in action. I want to start my macro, type something, and then make it bold and make it italic. As I mentioned, if you don't know how the code is working, start recording macro. Okay, start type something, hello. I press enter or return key to make a new paragraph. Press Ctrl or Command A to select it, Ctrl or Command B to make bold, and Ctrl or Command I to italic. I stop recording and going to Visual Basic, and there it is. This is my code. I remove the comments for now, and let's analyze. The first one is a selection.type. The text is this one, selection.type paragraph. For making that selection the whole story, it is select all, Ctrl or Command A, make it bold and italic. But I want to make a command to select everything and make it bold and italic. So we don't need actually type something. Instead of selection.type text any text, I remove that, and I don't want to make the paragraph, so delete that. And there it is. Select whole story, make it bold and italic. So if I start making any codes, allow me to type something, maybe equal rand. Okay, if I run my macro, look what's gonna happen. Macro, select my macro, run, everything is selected, get bold and italic. That's great, right? And as I mentioned before, allow me to undo that. We have several types of making the code. For example, I could go to the Visual Basic again. Even instead of typing selection, which here there is only 3 lines, but it could be much more. So I could type with selection and end it with and remove selections from here. And to make more readable, I could select them, press tab from your keyboard. If you don't know, I could right click here and bring the edit, which it is for coding. Alright, this is increasing indent, and this is outdent, shift tab. So tab, shift tab, or you could use from here. Alright, let's try, is it working still or not? Macro, my macro, run. And it is working exactly same. And finally, allow me to record once more, this time macro 2, okay. Go to font setting by pressing Ctrl or Command D. I want to make it, let's say bold and italic, okay. And stop recording. If I go to Visual Basic again, we have now the macro 2. We don't need descriptions, okay. And here with selection font, again we have some specified code. This might be get similar to this one. Font bold, WD toggle, and font italic, except of course the selection. But let's try, is it similar to this one or not? If I go to the word, of course I select everything. If I run my second macro, select and run, it is similar. Allow me to bring back bold and italic and try again. Run macro, macro 2 and run. Yes, it is working. But for first one, macros, allow me to bring back bold italic. I run macro, first macro run, yes, it is similar. Macro 1, run. What's happened? Instead of be similar bold italic, it is switched actually, you see? So one time it is bold italic, and next time it is not bold and italic, but the second macro actually working different. If I run it again, the result it is not different. So let me explain how it is working and why they are different. I'm going to Visual Basic. Let me make it simplified. Okay, we don't need these. Actually, we're working only bold and italic. All right. And one more here we have. Actually, the whole story selection. But I could add it here outside of with, doesn't matter. Selection dot whole story. And even I could make this similar outside to be exact similar to not confusing. All right. They are very similar together, but actually they are different. Look at the macro number 2. It is first say select your text. Actually, I think remove that, sorry, copy, okay. It is similar together. Here, it is saying select whole story, and here select the whole story. But on the with selection, here we say toggle the bold of font. Still they are different, right? Even I could do similar. I could cut the font to make similar, okay. So we don't need font again. Look at here, this is similar to this one. With selection font bold, italic. With selection font bold and italic. And of course we have selection. Let's try and compare again. I won't select anything. Macro, first macro is still, it is switching. But the second macro, it is not switching. And there is big difference, although it is very similar together. And here it is true or false, you could set the value. But here it is word toggle. Actually, here we done the set the value, or we could say it is the property, and we set the property value. The bold is true, and always it is true, doesn't matter how many times we run it. And your selection will get italic, true, always. But the toggle always is getting on and off. So if I go to the word and home, do you remember what do I have done for the first macro? I pressed actually bold and italic by shortcut. Doesn't matter, you could click here. So you know this is toggle. If I press Ctrl B or Command B or click here, it is toggle bold on and off. So this is toggle. And inside of my coding, here we have toggle. If it is off, it's set on, or it is on, it's set off. One time getting bold, one time getting not bold. But here we have always set true. And this is similar to go to the font settings, which I done before, and say bold and italic, okay. Doesn't matter if I go to the font setting and bold italic again, okay. So actually, we have two methods here. This is the value of property, and this is the action. This action toggling on and off, and this action, actually this attribute of property, always set the static value. Although here we have different methods to change to, but you don't have to get confused. Toggle, it is making on and off or enable, disable, but the value always it is static here, unless you set the different values, like whatever it is, set it off. For example, even I could make a toggle with different code, something like that, not dot bold. And I could copy here. I will explain later on, but nothing so complicated. Set the selection font bold, not whatever it is. Is it bold? So set not bold. It is not bold, so set is not a not bold, it is bold. Negative by negative, it is positive, or negative by positive, it is negative. Did you get it? This is similar to toggling. Let me run again. Okay, macro, this time macro 2 run. Macro 2 run. You see, actually we made our manual code of toggling. This method, it is for word standard on VBA, and this method actually it is pure coding of Visual Basic. One thing it is here important, because you cannot copy this code and use inside of, as an example, Excel. Because for Excel, you have to rename and change it to Excel, something like that inside of Microsoft Excel. But this code, it is generic and it is for Visual Basic. Doesn't matter your VBA, it is inside of Word or Excel or even PowerPoint, AutoCAD, etc. So this is general and this is specified to the Microsoft Word VBA. If you remember, when I went to the View and Object Browser, we had category named Word. So this is specified for the Word. And inside of font, if I find it, and bold, look at here, this is Word font as a bold, and this is specified to the Word. But the second code I written, it is VBA General, or even I could say it is for Visual Basic. So do not confuse. I know it is getting a bit confusing and hard, but I will mention about these codes. We will practice much more and you will get master. So we made selection, width, doesn't matter, width, selection font, or you could type something like that. Instead of that, I could say font and font. Okay, let me delete these codes to make simplified. For here, same too. And selection, all right. And okay, allow me to make it clear. All right. And here. Okay. So these two codes exactly working similar together. They are both actually kind of toggle, but this is working only inside of Microsoft Word. This one, it is generic and working everywhere. It is supporting VBA. I did mention about that to not get confused. And again, to make understand, we could type different codes to get similar results. And we have a standard coding of Visual Basic or using a specified VBA inside of each application it is supported.